Welcome back to Wives Gone Wild. We're grateful for your support. Where are you joining us from? We enjoy seeing who shares these wild moments. Now, today's cheating wife story begins. It was just another quiet evening at home. My son, Caleb, was upstairs, lost in his schoolwork, the faint sound of his pencil scratching against the paper drifting through the house. Downstairs, at the dinner table, it was just me and my wife, Lauren. 6 years of marriage between us, yet tonight, the silence between us felt heavier than ever. I wanted to say something, to break the quiet, but she barely touched her food, absently pushing it around with her fork. Her eyes never lifted to meet mine. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe she'd had a long day, maybe she was exhausted. But the way she sat there, so distant, so withdrawn, sent a chill through me. Something was wrong. I cleared my throat, my voice careful but firm. "Everything okay?" That was the moment my world shifted. She stilled, then slowly looked up at me. Her face was unreadable, but her words cut through the air like a blade. "I think we should try an open marriage." For a second, I thought I had misheard her. The words didn't make sense, didn't fit into the life we had built together. I blinked, my mind scrambling to process what she had just said. What? She didn't hesitate, didn't laugh like it was some kind of bad joke. Instead, she leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and repeated herself, her voice even, unwavering. "I just think, maybe we should have more freedom. Explore things. It could make our relationship stronger." Stronger. The word echoed in my head, but nothing about this felt like strength. My heart pounded in my chest, but time itself seemed to slow. There was no guilt in her voice, no nervousness. She wasn't worried about how I would react. She had already made up her mind. And that was what scared me the most. I could have exploded right then and there, demanded answers, asked if there was already someone else, if I was the last to know. But I didn't. Instead, I took a breath, my voice calm but unyielding. "That's not the marriage I signed up for." I held her gaze, refusing to look away. "If you're tired of this, just say it." She didn't flinch, didn't waver, just shrugged. "I figured you'd say that." Then, just like that, she stood up, picked up her plate, and walked away, like the conversation had never happened, like I had never mattered. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a discussion. It wasn't even a request. It was a decision. She had already chosen her path. And for the first time, I realized, whether I liked it or not, my life was about to change forever. The next morning, I woke up to a silence that felt heavier than usual. No quiet, "Good morning" from Lauren. No absent-minded humming from the kitchen. Just nothing. I stepped out of the bedroom and found her already at the table, coffee in hand, scrolling through her phone as if I didn't exist. Normally, we would at least exchange a few words before heading off to work. Simple things, like "have a good day" or "see you later." But today, she didn't even glance in my direction. I hesitated, then forced a casual "morning." She didn't even look up, just took a slow sip of coffee and kept scrolling. That was the first real sign. At work, I checked my phone out of habit, half expecting a text from her, maybe an update about her day, a question about dinner, something. But the screen stayed dark. No messages, no check-ins, no trace of her at all. That night at dinner, the distance between us wasn't just emotional, it was physical. It felt like there was an invisible wall between us, making every attempt at conversation feel pointless. I tried anyway. "How was your day? MHM. Anything interesting happen?" "Okay." One-word responses. No effort. No warmth. The woman I had shared my life with for 6 years was now treating me like a stranger. And the worst part? She didn't seem to care. Over the next few days, the coldness turned into something worse. She stopped pretending altogether. If she wasn't ignoring me, she was openly dismissing me, sitting right next to me on the couch, texting someone with a smile that I hadn't seen in months. The glow of her phone screen illuminated her face, her fingers moving quickly, her eyes lighting up with every reply. I swallowed hard. "Who are you talking to?" She rolled her eyes. "No one. No one." She started going out more, dressing up like she was single again, fitted dresses, makeup carefully applied, taking extra time to do her hair. "Where are you headed?" I asked one evening as she slipped on her heels. "Out with friends." "Which friends?" She sighed, grabbing her purse. "Why do you care?" And with that, she was gone. Some nights, she didn't come home at all. No text, no call, no explanation. The first time it happened, I stayed up, staring at the clock, waiting for the sound of the door unlocking. It never came. The next morning, she waltzed in like nothing had happened, kicked off her shoes, and headed straight for the shower. I could smell the alcohol on her, the faint traces of perfume that weren't hers. I wanted to ask. I wanted to demand answers. But deep down, I already knew what she would say. "You're being paranoid." She would laugh, roll her eyes, make me feel like a fool for even questioning it. Then one night, as she walked past me without a word, I finally blocked her path. "Lauren, we need to talk." She smirked, a cold, knowing smirk, then let out a quiet laugh. "No, we don't." And just like that, she brushed past me, walked into the bedroom, and shut the door in my face. That was when I realized. This wasn't just neglect. It was intentional. She wanted me to feel like nothing. And the worst part? It was working. It's one thing to feel like your wife doesn't care about you anymore. It's another when your child starts noticing it too. One evening, as I was clearing the dinner table, Caleb looked up at me, his big, curious eyes filled with quiet confusion. His fork scraped against his plate as he hesitated before speaking. "Dad, why doesn't Lauren eat with us anymore?" For a second, I didn't know how to answer. How do you explain to an 11-year-old that the woman he considers family doesn't want to be? I forced a smile, ruffling his hair. "She's just been busy, buddy." He nodded, but something in his face told me he didn't believe me. That night, after Caleb went to bed, I sat alone in the living room, staring into the dark. I felt like a ghost in my own home. Lauren didn't even have the decency to pretend anymore. The love, the warmth, the connection, it was gone. And then, one night, everything changed. It was late, 2 a.m., to be exact. I had been drifting in and out of sleep when a soft sound pulled me back to consciousness. A quiet giggle. At first, I thought I had imagined it. But then I heard it again, the faintest sound of a laugh, followed by the rhythmic tapping of fingers on a screen. I turned my head, blinking through the darkness. And there she was, lying next to me in bed, her phone screen glowing in the dim room. Her face was illuminated in soft blue light, her eyes fixed on the screen, a faint smile on her lips. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched. She was texting someone, scrolling, smiling, laughing softly to herself, completely unaware that I was awake. Or maybe she knew. Maybe she just didn't care. Something inside me snapped. Up until that moment, I had been holding on, telling myself this was just a phase, trying to rationalize her behavior. But watching her in that moment, lying in our bed, smiling at another man through a screen, I finally understood. She wasn't coming back. And worse, she thought I would just sit there and take it. Not anymore. The next morning, while Lauren was still asleep, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to leave with a plan. From that moment on, I started documenting everything. Every late night. Every time she ignored my questions with a dismissive shrug. Every time she rolled her eyes at me like I was nothing more than an inconvenience. Then, I got my one chance. Lauren left her phone unattended for just a few minutes. That was all I needed. I picked it up, opened her messages, and took screenshots of every conversation she had with the men she was flirting with. I sent them to myself. I saved the proof, because I wasn't going to let her twist the story when I walked away. Then, I took the next step. I contacted a lawyer. I wanted to know my options, to make sure I had everything in place before I left. I wasn't just walking away. I was making sure Lauren would have no hold over me once I was gone. After that, I spoke to my boss. I had been wanting to transfer to another state for a while now, but I had never gone through with it. Because of Lauren. But now, that hesitation was gone. My boss approved it almost immediately. The last thing I did was secure an apartment in my new city. Everything was set. A fresh start was waiting. All I had to do now was wait for the perfect moment. Lauren probably slept in that morning, just like she always did. She had gotten comfortable in her routine, staying out late, rolling out of bed whenever she felt like it, knowing she didn't have to answer to anyone. But that morning was different. The house was too quiet. Maybe at first, she didn't think much of it. But as she moved from room to room, she would start to notice. The closet, half empty. The drawers, missing my clothes. Caleb's room, cleared out. Then, she would walk into the kitchen for her morning cup of coffee, the one thing she never skipped. And that's where she would see it. An envelope, sitting right beside the coffee machine, waiting for her. Inside, divorce papers. And right on top, a small sticky note in my handwriting. "I hope you find the freedom you wanted." I didn't know how she reacted when she saw it. And honestly, I didn't care, because I was already gone. Lauren never called. Not once. She never texted. Never asked where I was. Never pretended to care. The only time I finally heard from her was through a lawyer. Not a phone call. Not a message. A formal legal demand with her name stamped at the bottom. And what was she after? Money. Not an apology. Not a second chance. Just a paycheck. The letter laid out her demands like a grocery list. A lump sum to compensate her for the years we were married. Alimony, even though she was perfectly capable of working. And the most ridiculous part, half of my assets. She truly believed that after everything she had done, I would still be responsible for maintaining her lifestyle. It was laughable. The entitlement. The sheer audacity. She wasn't asking for what was fair. She was asking to be rewarded for treating me like garbage. But I had no intention of playing along. Walking into that courtroom, I was ready. I had spent months preparing, gathering every piece of evidence I needed to make sure she didn't get a single cent from me. I had documented her late nights, her indifference, her blatant disrespect. I had screenshots of her messages with other men, proof that she had checked out of our marriage long before she ever mentioned an open relationship. When my lawyer laid everything out, it wasn't even a fight. The judge took one look at the case and ruled in my favor. Lauren got nothing. She had spent so much time acting like I was disposable, convinced that I would either stay and tolerate her behavior or leave and still be financially obligated to her. But she gambled, and she lost. Everything. It had been 2 years since Caleb and I packed up and left. 2 years of peace, of healing, of learning how to live without looking over my shoulder, waiting for an apology that would never come. Lauren never reached out. Not once. Until one evening, out of nowhere, my phone rang. I was in the middle of making dinner when I saw her name flash across the screen. Lauren. For a moment, I just stared at it. I hadn't deleted her number. Maybe a part of me wanted to remember, to never forget what I had walked away from. I let it ring. My fingers hovered over the screen, debating whether to pick up or let it go to voicemail. But I already knew. People like Lauren only reach out when they want something. Finally, I answered. George. Her voice was different. No confidence. No arrogance. Just hesitation. I didn't say anything. I just waited. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. The words hung between us. I was selfish, she continued, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought you'd always be there. I didn't think you'd actually leave. I closed my eyes, exhaling deeply. There it was. The realization that had come far too late. Then, after a long pause, she said the words I already knew were coming. I miss you. I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just nothing. I spoke, my voice calm, steady. Do you miss me? Or do you miss the fact that I loved you even when you didn't deserve it? Silence. That told me everything I needed to know. She tried again, her voice breaking. George, please. But I had already made up my mind. Lauren, I hope you heal. But I'm not coming back. I hung up, and for the first time in years, I felt free. There's a lesson in every heartbreak, even the ones we never saw coming. Sometimes, the people we love take our presence for granted, assuming we will always be there, waiting, forgiving, enduring. But love without respect is just obligation in disguise. Walking away isn't always about giving up. Sometimes, it's about choosing yourself. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you thought would never let you go? Share your story in the comments below.